Oh, please.
Today's video was posted by The Oregonian, and it's titled, Body Cam Footage Shows Nurse Getting Arrested for Refusing to Allow Police to Do a Blood Draw. Let's see what's going on. Okay, so we're clearly in some type of hospital. Okay, so I don't fully hear what's going on, but it sounds like the cop is telling another cop if she refused to allow us to get the blood, she's going to be arrested.
Works for boss. Oh, she's been talking. I'm recording.
So as you can see, it looks like multiple people are on the phone. My guess is that they're calling their supervisors or higher ups at the hospital, trying to determine what to do based on whatever's going on. So let's see if the video can kind of give us better insight into what's actually going on here. The cop is telling security, this can't be new. That's basically what he's saying. This can't be new. This has to happen all the time. It doesn't matter. The nurse still has to have some type of authorization from the patient or some type of authorization in law to perform any medical procedure with, in general. So let's kind of see what it is he's trying to get her to do.
Where's she at right now? Did he call or we don't know.
So it sounds like whomever is holding the camera is now asking hospital security, like, what's the significance? Like, who is this patient? Did he kill someone? Like, why does the police want this person's blood to begin with, right? And if you look just to the left of the frame, you still have the nurse on the phone with someone and the gentleman in the white shirt on the phone with someone. So they're clearly talking to their higher ups at the hospital, I would assume, about what they should do in this instance. You see now, he alleges they are violating the law. Okay, we got some answers.
So I have this, it says obtaining blood samples for police enforcement from patients suspected to be under the influence.
So the nurse immediately comes back after being on the phone, I would assume with someone higher up in the hospital, and she says, look, these are the terms of our agreement with you. The hospital actually has a signed agreement between them and the police that governs when the nurses or the medical staff are allowed to give the police blood drawn from a patient. And so she says, these are the terms, and it's specific in that it says only when the person is suspected of driving under the influence. So that's already a foundational prerequisite to any of this. And then there's additional terms. So let's see what that says.
Okay. This was something that you guys agreed to with this hospital. The three things that allow us to do that are to have an electronic warrant, patient consent, or patient under arrest. And neither of those things.
Okay, so now she's very clear. If this person is suspected of driving under the influence, we can give you their blood sample if you have a warrant, the patient is under arrest, or the patient consents. So let's see if any of those are present in this case.
The patient can't consent. He told me repeatedly that he doesn't have a warrant, and the patient is not under arrest.
Case closed. Patient is not under arrest. They do not have a warrant. The patient is presumably unconscious. She says the patient can't consent, which means they can't give actual written or verbal consent to the search. So a lot of people don't know it, but one, we all have what's called bodily autonomy. The law gives us the right to determine whether or not we like to subject ourselves to any type of medical procedure. So in general, the hospital can't do anything to you absent and apart from there being an emergency. And even then, a lot of people know from movies, they have to try to get the consent of whomever your next of kin is, whether it's a spouse, parents, or children. Hospital cannot just operate on you, even if it's drawing blood, without your permission. And the police are not entitled to that information without the patient consenting to it, the patient, in this case, being under arrest, or a warrant. So trying to force this nurse to give you this patient's blood is textbook unreasonable search and seizure. You have a constitutional right against it. The nurse has a duty to protect your confidential medical information. So she's also trying to cover her behind. I cannot provide you this information if it does not fit within the confines of this agreement. So let's see what happens next.
So I'm just trying to just do what I'm supposed to do.
She's just trying to do her job.
Okay, so I take it without those in place, I'm not going to get one. Is that, am I fair to surmise that?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea why you're blaming me. I'm just representing.
She's the one that told me no.
Why are you blaming the messenger? Well, she's the one who told me no. She has supervisors too. She has a duty to this patient as well. She's just trying to do her job as well. Imagine being threatened with arrest because you're doing what your boss told you to do. There's literally someone clearly with more authority than her on the phone like, but why are you attacking her? Like, it doesn't make any sense. You're making a huge mistake right now. Oh, wow.
Hey. Hey. Hey.
This is ridiculous. So immediately, this is ridiculous, right? It would be different if he had what is required for her to perform the work that he's asking. Just because you wear a badge doesn't mean you can storm into a hospital and say, give me this. That's not how that works. And regardless of where you're getting your orders from, the police are very much aware that they are not entitled to anyone's medical information, blood samples, requiring medical procedures without the proper authorization. You said out of your own mouth, this person isn't under arrest. He actually said in one part of the video, the guy in the hospital is the victim. She doesn't have to give you anything. He's not under suspicion of anything. But to arrest her and so aggressively is ridiculous. It is crazy.
Hey.
He will be taking this.
So you notice he places her under arrest, but he never says what she's under arrest for. You said out of your own mouth, no one is being arrested. So it's not obstruction of justice. It's not interfering with the police investigation because the person that is in the hospital is the victim. This is ridiculous.
You can talk to him. Let him take her to the car.
Let him take her to the car. I can't imagine being traumatized like this at work. And imagine the amount of lives that could be saved if he wasn't interfering with her workday. Calm down. Now remember, he told him, you're making a huge mistake. I'm very surprised hospital's legal staff wasn't downstairs by now. Keep in mind that the hospital has a duty to the patient as well. So a breach of their duty to the patient potentially subjects the hospital to liability, HIPAA violations. The law is very clear as it pertains to our medical information.
Is that her phone? We'll give it to her.
Please take my phone.
How many times have you all seen someone get arrested but placed in the front seat of the police cruiser? This is textbook abuse of authority. He thought he was going to be able to bully this woman into forgetting that she had an ethical duty to her patient. He placed her in the seatbelt.
You'll want it.
We still have no idea what he's charging her with.
Hi, sir. Would you like to speak to this young lady? Well, I need to talk to you first. Okay.
Hi, this is Brad Supervisor again. Hey, they have arrested Claiborne for Hey, they're busy. Give them a second.
They're busy. This is what they're busy with. So what he's saying is we have our privacy officer on the phone, meaning whoever at the hospital handles patient privacy concerns and compliance is trying to get on the phone with the cops and inform them once again, you're probably making a mistake. The law doesn't allow us to give you that information absent and apart from what we've asked for: consent, arrest, or warrant.
Hey, can you give me a second? He will talk to you. I can promise you that. Give me a second.
You're telling me what your policy is, and I appreciate that you have a policy that people I understand that. What I'm asking for is the law, okay? And what I'm trying to say is, now, had you taken me off the hook, you could have had a
I'm obligated to my patient to protect.
I am obligated to my patient. She is absolutely right. So now you're explaining to her what you're trying to do. It doesn't matter, right? He's the victim. We're just trying to figure out if he has anything. None of that is pertinent because you do not have any authority in the law for me to give you this information. The nurse has absolutely no reason to give these cops that information, and it's a direct violation of her ethical duty.
He's already been given medication to keep him comfortable, so any of that information would be
That's not up to me. That's what she's saying. It's not up to me. My patient is unconscious. He can't consent. You have this legal defense. And she's like, no, actually, I'm just doing what my bosses tell me to do.
If you're doing wrong, there are civil remedies, okay?
Your civil remedies doesn't help her keep her job or her license, right? She can be reported. There's a board that licensed her. She can be reported as well for violating patient privacy. It's the type of thing that might prevent her from getting a job anywhere else. I don't care that you're just doing your job, so am I. Why don't I get credit for just doing my job as well?
Illegally, it all goes away. All right? So there's civil remedies.
Now remember his words.
What I'm telling you is, okay, I've done this for 22 plus years. I know what the law is when it comes to certain.
I've done this for 22 years. I know what the law is.
You have done that because your boss is telling you has been to prevent this officer who's called out to the job to do his job. That's obstruction of justice.
It's not obstruction of justice when no one is under arrest.
Okay, but see, do you take blood from them? As soon as they come in, right? Okay. I understand that. Okay. If I knew that beforehand, I would have just had told Logan to come and get a warrant and access that blood that you guys have already drawn. Okay, but this is stuff that we can discuss, not when you're telling me no, do it.
So she didn't say no. She said, I have no authorization to do it. You haven't met the requirements for me to be able to give you this blood sample. What he's trying to say is, well, he's a patient. When he came in, you took his blood anyway, right? Well, yeah, to provide the medical necessary procedures that he needed, not to give away his medical information to the police. And just because I did it for the purposes of medical necessity doesn't mean you're entitled to that information. A little background on this issue: the car accident actually happened in a different county. This police department is not actually the department who's investigating the car accident that the patient was a victim of. That's why he says we would have called Logan. Logan is the actual police department who then asked the police who respond to this hospital to get this blood from the hospital. Now, if you search this issue in the news, you'll find a news article that kind of explains how this started and how this ended. And what it explains is the Logan Police Department expressly said, if you can't get it, it's okay. Why? Because the Logan Police Department knew that they didn't have a warrant, that the victim would not be under arrest. So the only way to get it is if this nurse violated her ethical standards or if the patient consented. So there really is no basis or foundation for them to arrest her. They're not even the governing police body who's investigating this accident. So let's keep listening.
And I
I'm telling you no. The victim actually has more rights than someone who's actually accused of having been under the influence and causing the accident.
So why are you involved in this? You don't have anything to do with this.
Do you understand what's happening? She's not even the nurse that's treating the patient. She's the charge nurse. She's the nurse supervisor for the shift. This is ridiculous. What do you have to do with it? I'm doing my job, clearly. What do you mean?
Sir? I have the hospital privacy officer on the phone with me right now.
And what is the noise of this individual that I'm trying to get blood from?
Just what we've told him.
Okay, so he doesn't know anything. I don't need to talk. Okay, because he's going to tell me what your policy is, and I understand what your policy is. I'm trying to tell you what I do legally. Okay, and your policy right now.
Nothing about what they're asking for is legal.
What I need legal. Okay, which I'm not.
There's no legal basis for what they're asking for.
I can get Logan to come and get a warrant and test for later. Okay, but this is all something we should have a conversation with before I told no.
No, you can tell the police no.
Bad habit here of your policy interfering with my law. Okay, I am trying to conduct a criminal investigation, step through the process. Okay, and you guys are trying to prevent liability coming on the hospital. And I appreciate that.
You don't appreciate that because that liability doesn't come out of your pocket. It doesn't come out of the police department's pocket. They can't sue you because the hospital gave you their information. They're going to sue the hospital.
Yeah.
These officers have their own blood draw kit? Absolutely not. The hospital has no obligation to allow them to do that absent a warrant, consent, arrest. So it looks like someone else has come out, presumably someone from the hospital, I would guess, possibly the privacy officer, or some other legal personnel, administrative personnel. Now, this is what I'll tell you. If there was really a basis to arrest this nurse, she'd be in the backseat of the cruiser and they'd be on their way to the station.
Real quick, I just wanted to say that Attorney Tom / Attorney Reacts content is now on Spotify. We just launched a partnered show, link in the description. Go check it out. Now, back to the video.
Hey, I'll put this back for you. I'm not thinking how to do it. I don't know if that changes anything.
So I can't quite hear what he said. What I know that he said is whatever they're looking for or that they were looking for in the system, he couldn't find. I don't know if that changes anything. Absolutely makes things worse for the cops. Okay, that was a little traumatizing to watch. We did some additional research after watching the video. So we learned that the cop was ultimately terminated for his treatment of her. And the department found specifically that his failure to inform his supervisor that Logan Police Department, which is the police department that had asked him to go retrieve this blood work, had actually said, if you can't get it, just let it go. They also knew there was no warrant present. There was no basis for the arrest. And she was not even the nurse treating the patient. So her refusal to allow access is actually fair and proper if you're not placing this person under arrest and you don't have a warrant. This person is also the victim. They can absolutely decide, I don't want the police having access to my blood work. We all have a right to make our own decisions as to medical procedures and act upon us. And blood work too is considered an unreasonable search and seizure if there is not proper authorization in law. But we want to hear from you all. Is the cop right? Is the nurse right? Should the cop have been fired for how he handled things? The cop says he was only doing what he was told to do, that his supervisor told him if she continued to interfere to arrest her. Does that change your opinion of the video? We want to hear from you in the comments. And subscribe to Attorney Reacts.
Big verdict.